Now then, this is Home Life 24, I believe, and we've got all sorts of things going on as normal. This, by the way, is a redundant television with the LCD screen removed, and it makes a light, which is quite handy. It prevents scrapping more stuff, and with this solar panel I've got some more experiments going on. Anyway, I hope you enjoy this month's activity. And in an area of disturbance behind the 684 tractor, and if you probably don't remember, I built this shed last year, or maybe it was year before. Anyway, it's coming on, and we've got some nice boards on the side there now. Yeah, it doesn't have to be windproof, just has to be mainly waterproof, but those boards look great. Gives it a very rural feel. Not that we're pretending here. Anyway, here in this area of disturbance, as I've said, there is some naturally occurring, naturally sown chamomile. So I'm just going to collect some of the flowers. And I'm going to put them in this paper bag and dry them. Why am I drying them? Well, nettle tea with just 1 or 2 chamomile flowers dried per pot. It makes a nice change, and also it's a very delightful drink, health giving and calming. So I'll just hang this bag up out of direct sunlight, but somewhere warm, and within, I don't know, a week or 10 days it will be they will be lovely and dry, and then they can be kept for winter. You get the idea. And here, alongside the path in the woods, you see this ash here, and I'm guessing it's about 3 or 4 years old. But all the leaves are starting to wither away, and you think, oh, ash dieback. But then you go down the stem, right down here, and look what the deer have done. They've taken all the bark off, all the way round. So they killed that tree, but you could quite easily say, oh, from a distance that looks like ash dieback. Yeah, anyway, moving on. Here's another area, and that there is a walnut that we planted 2 years ago. Not this winter gone, the winter before. And it really is bombing on. It's going great guns. It must be 4'6", 5 foot high. Anyway, here are some ash regeneration. And I've pruned all the lower branches off, just to try and stop ash dieback chalara getting into the lower branches. But if we come round here, we've got a really tall one there, that's going away quite well. And then we come down. Is it ash dieback? What do you reckon? Have a look at the bottom. No, it's deer damage again. There's the slightest bit now. They're actually left. It's that bit of bark is actually pulled off the main stem. So they've been chewing at it again. Here we go. Look at that. They've been rubbing against it, or rabbits have been chewing it, but I think that's deer just rubbing their heads against it, which is disappointing. But there you go. We're trying to get some ash regeneration going that is resilient against ash dieback, and the only way to do that is to allow the regeneration to happen. We've got some nice ash in this wood that we've lost one or two, but not that many. But this is a new wood on dead agricultural ground, and it's about 35 years old, something like that. So, you know, there's lots different to the majority of ancient and semi-natural woodlands. And here we have a Monterey pine, and it's loving it this year. Look at the growth on that. That's 14 inches, if not more. So I just need to tread round that again just to keep the nettles down. But it's all growing like mad, which is great. But you know, it is warm, wet and sultry, and that would be ideal time for ash dieback to start moving. Yeah, the spores to start moving. So I'm just keeping my eye on things. But currently it looks like the deer are the major problem, and I had to get up in the early hours of last night, and the muntjac deer were barking and calling. There was two, one in the bottom here of the long meadow, and another one over at the east 60 foot. I had to go over there and scare them away. They were shouting and hollering and hooting just like teenagers. Anyway, as I say, moving on. So here we go. Hopefully you can see that. Hopefully it's the right way up. So it is. Homegrown winter lettuce. I'm just going to sow very thinly. Doesn't take much. And as you've seen in the past, they germinate very well. That'll do. I've also got some commercial Tom Thumb lettuces, so I'm going to sow those as well. It's all part of this successional sowing to keep a regular production. So I'll just label that, do the other one, water them in, put them to one side. But whilst we're here, can't remember where it's gone now. Here it is. I made myself a few notes, and this is basically a thank you. So thanks to all the people who comment on my videos. I really appreciate it, and I feel like there's a bit of a community there. Yeah, just great, and we just ping ideas backwards and forwards and what have you. So that's wonderful. You know, we can get into some. I can gain understanding from the comments, which is brilliant, absolutely amazing. So I also want to thank Ian Helsby for my for his long-term support, and he's got his own channel, but it's great. Yeah, and then there's a list here of people who have donated through the PayPal, and it's normally because they've watched a video that has helped them fix something, especially like the Aurora inverters or the Solar River ones, or the camera system, the Swan camera system, and various bits and pieces, and lawn mowers and what have you. And it's great. It's like saying, thanks very much, mate, you saved me a fortune. Yeah. So we got David Taylor, Andy Hodge, Deb and Simon Davis, Gary Springwell, James Bates, David Dishner, Leon Audio Company, Kevin Cunningham, Michael McDermott, Andrew Sachs, Richard Sanford. Yeah. And then early on there was Gigafish, Kathy's Cotton Candy, and then thanks very much to Sam Keane. He sent me some spruce seeds quite a few years ago, and whenever I've talked about this, I've said these are some seeds I've been donated. Well, Sam, nice to hear from you. I'll send you some photos at some point soon. And then of course there's the Polish guy, the Polish truck driver, Jacek. Hi, nice to see you. Well, there you go. It's building. I just think this, what is it? It goes beyond local, but it feels local. Yeah? If you understand what I'm saying. Anyway, we're going to crack on. Right then, look at these oaks from a walk in the local area last, I don't know, September, October time. Jerry picked up these acorns and they're bombing away. So it's time to pot them on. I want them to keep growing. As you can see here, some of them have got secondary growth coming on. So we want to encourage that. So let's have a go. I mean, that's amazing, that one. Look at that. That secondary growth. Brilliant. From here up to there. Doubling in size. And I figure if I pot them on now, increase the pot size, they'll love it. I think it's just been the right year for it. With the right, I mean, obviously we're able to water these, but it was cold in the start of the year, so it held things back, and then it warmed up. So, and everything is sort of, okay, I'm ready, let's go, right, let's go. And it did. This is that sifted soil from over at the muck hill. So let's just get rid of those weeds. We've just got one root trying to come out the bottom. So we're just at the right time. That's not bad. I mean, obviously, when you've got a tree in a pot that big, yeah, you have to dig a bigger hole. You have to pit plant it rather than notch plant it. But that's fine, you know, it gets it a better start in life. And of course, if you are pit planting, then you tend to break up, well, I do anyway. You go down one spit of the spade and then break up the bottom, so therefore you've got better drainage and easier root penetration. So I'm going to crack on with that, but I just repeat, thanks for the comments. Here we are, Sam. This is one of those spruce from the seeds that you sent me. And if you see there on that new shoot there, it's got a slight tinge of blue about it. Very, very slight. Almost, but not quite, reminiscent of Sitka spruce. But I don't think it is, because it's not all sharp and Velcro-like. And those people who know about Sitka spruce will know what I mean about them being Velcro trees. Oh, they sharp and they just grab hold of everything. Anyway, just spinning round whilst we're here. I didn't mean to do this, but why not? Where are we? That's a walnut there. And there is one of the Monterey pines. It's not Monterey pines at all. One of the Monterey cypresses. It's cracking on. It's wonderful. There's an ash and there's the Monterey cypress. Quite a robust plant now. Those will go out this winter. Brilliant. And of course there are the oaks that I've just planted, potted on. And of course, in amongst everything else, there was the making of a new pellet burning head liner, or burning head, and of course extending the burnt out auger. So it's past the middle of July and this hayfield's been cut. And it's going to be a rip snorting couple of days. So as you can hear, yeah, it's only 11 o'clock in the morning and this is sounding crisp. So that's grand. Hello, let's just have a look over here. At the trees, and it looks like we've got a tube here. So where's that come from? It's not connected to a stake or a tree that's been run over, because I did mow along the edge of this planting just to make sure when they cut that they knew. Although you could see them, yeah, a little bit of insurance. I think this might have been one that was forgotten, put down for planting, and then it was a surplus one. What's this load of... Oh, there's one. This is one that I missed with the weed control, I'm assuming. There. And that won't have done the tree any good. And what is it? It's a grand fir, but it's still looking green. But I'll just tread this down, let it have a bit of light. And there's another grand fir here, and a bit of grass. I'll just pull the grass out. And it's got a half decent shoot on that side that's reaching for the light, so that's grand. Anyway, whoa, that's a Norway maple, yeah, and that is the best one of the alders. That must have grown 2'6" this year. That's superb. Plant it the right time of the year, and a bit of weed control just to keep the grasses down. Those ones there, I imagine they'll want weed control next spring, well, late spring, early summer, and then that'll do. They'll be away. We've got one here with nettles, so I'm just going to put the camera down and pull those nettles out. But there we are. The July razor has been here, and there's the evidence. So we fixed the auger, and there is the auger motor, and we'll fit that together in a minute. And that's where it fits. And can we see? I don't know whether we're better see at this angle. Yes, we can. There's a square tube that goes to the burning head. So a round auger in a square tube is quite good, because you have little areas in the corners where slightly bigger bits can go, so things don't get trapped. I'll just take the camera off the tripod. So here we are on wobbly cam. There we go. Hopefully that makes sense. And of course this bottom bit here underneath that rim just gets packed with pellets that don't actually make it to the auger because they're lower than it. But it's quite a big hopper. I think it takes 250 kilos if we really wanted to put that amount in. I might be wrong, but it's something like that. Anyway, let's bolt the auger back in place. So this is quite simple really. The key goes in the keyway, and you just got to make sure that there is no muck in the bottom of there. Yep. And then it just goes in there and lines up with the keyway of the gearbox, which sometimes can be a bit tricky. There we go. And then at the back here, and this is not a lightweight bit of kit, you see there's the end of the auger, and we just have a washer and a 10mm bolt. With a, is that a 13mm head? It is a 13mm head. It doesn't need to be too tight. It's just a retainer. So now I'll have to move the camera and show you just putting this in place. So hopefully I won't get in the way. There we go. And there's a seal there. It's a glue-on seal. I replaced it a few years ago. Just that modern non-asbestos fiberglass, whatever you want. And once you've got one bolt in, it's not so bad. There we go, that one's going in. Anyway, you get the idea. So there we go, and the wire is wrapped around the motor. I mean, it's great. They provided sufficient wire so that you could take the whole of the auger out and everything without disconnecting it. That shows a little bit of forethought, doesn't it? And hopefully you've seen the video about repairing that auger and the burning head, and I'll put the video about that, I'll put a link just up here somewhere if I remember. Right, let's get on with fitting the burning head itself. And this is the fire rope I'm going to use, and this is where I got it from. It's on the site of a closed down, disused railway station, and the road is called Beeching's Way, and anybody who's into railways in Britain will know what that's all about. So here we go, there's the auger, and there are the two holes, and that is the recess into which that flange that I've created sits, and two notches for the bolts to go through. There we go, and the air goes into that recess. So I'm just going to clean out all the bits and pieces in the bottom of that recess, and then we'll fit the burning head. So all the lot of holes at the bottom, and just offer it into there, and then wiggle it about until those bolts line up. And sometimes it just goes there straight away, and other times it doesn't. And this is one of those cases where it's just being a bit awkward. Come on, you. There we go. And I can feel that that fire rope is compressing. That's grand. So I wrapped 2 rounds of that fire rope, stove rope, round next to that flange of the burning head, and just held it in place with a bit of parcel tape. And now it's in that rebate, and everything will be fine. So it's just a matter of tightening these bolts up and putting the cover back on this, but I won't put the screws back in because that's stupid. Really, I mean, this requires a bit of a redesign, really. I'm not quite sure. I mean, maybe you could have this here, yeah, and a piece of tube between there and this, yeah, that extends through that just, and that way you could undo the nuts from the outside. I don't know whether it's necessary for that great depth of insulation. So there we go, that's it all in place now, and you see the auger is flush with the start of the burning head. Brilliant, I'm pleased with that. Anyway, there you go. So that's another preparation for next winter. It's very warm at the moment, so if we get a few cool days before the end of the month, I'll give you this a road test and show you how it works. And it's the end of the day, and the sun is just going down behind those trees. It's not going behind the horizon though. But we have a very good crop of hay this year, a lot of bales, and they're quite dry and solid, and we're just going to have a count up. So that's seen it through from planting the trees in January or December through to the grass growing, the meadow growing, and there we go. And that's the finished crop. And then of course in, I'm not sure, late September I shall be topping this, because it will have grown again, and you don't want long grass to overwinter. So I'll go over with the tractor and top it. But I'm just going to crack on and count these up just to make sure we know how many. But I'd say compared to the last couple of years, there's a lot there. So the next lot of lettuces are growing on. About another, maybe, I don't know, week or so, I might consider sowing another lot. This is all from homegrown seed, so we will be letting a couple of these, and there are some down the far end of the glasshouse, flower and go to seed. So we'll collect the seed. And here we've got peppers, and as you can see there are some flowers. There we go, and there are a couple of peppers starting to develop, which is great. And the tomatoes that I thought were going to be ripe a few, I don't know, was it 10 days ago or something? Well, we had about a week of sort of grey, coolish weather, and they haven't ripened up yet, but they've certainly got a lot bigger. I'm assuming that this little mini heat wave we're having will bring those on some more. So the glass house is behaving itself. We're digging our own new potatoes, which is great. I mean, you just go and dig a few and cook them. What could be more natural? And a few weeks ago I put these chamomile flowers in this bag and just hung them up. So let's have a look. There we are. Probably could have done with some more, but just that amount is entirely sufficient, with a few nettles. Yeah, and speaking of which, of course, now I'm going to go off and start putting nettle leaves in that bag to dry for winter. And so we're just topping the batteries up. Yeah, it's check them once every 6 weeks, something like that. Top them up as required, and as you know, we run a dehumidifier to get all this distilled water. So yet another sort of routine thing to be done. Yes, a little bit. It was just the plates were just showing, so we need to top them all up. And that one's not as bad, but I'll just go through them all. You don't need to see any more, but you get the idea. It will take me half an hour probably to do this lot. This pack here doesn't seem to be so bad. This main pack here, which is the oldest one, and they were second hand a long time ago, they tend to use more, which may mean that they're not quite as good. That pack over there is not bad, and then the pack over here, which is a miscellaneous pack of mixed batteries, that's pretty good as well. That doesn't use a lot. So I suspect that this main pack, although it needs a little bit more maintenance, I mean, it's alright, it holds a good charge, but and maybe at some point I will take this pack offline and let it sit for say 2 weeks, and then that will let me know if we got any cells within there that are susceptible to self-discharge. And you know the year is moving on when this sort of thing is happening. It's hay time. So there you go. It's getting towards the end of the month, and just a few other things have been happening, and I've got a couple of videos to put up in the next month. One of them was, this is part of a lithium 18650 pack. This is actually 9 cells in parallel by 7 cells long, and this is theoretically 22 amp hours at 25 volts, and it's not that bad at all weight wise. Anyway, that was interesting. Lee donated that, as he did this Yamaha electric bike a couple of years ago, and I did try it on lead acid batteries, and it was sort of alright, but not brilliant, because the original nickel metal hydride batteries from years ago had gone, and Lee's got some better bikes now, so he donated this. So anyway, that's another project, and I think it's actually working quite well now with those lithium cells. So we'll leave it at that. Hope you've enjoyed yourselves, and check out all the other videos that are going to be happening next month. Bye now.